So the Prime Minister speaks about, Vision 2047. That is something very close to his heart. And he often talks about, how we are in the Amrit Kal and India will complete 100 years of independence. What is Bharat Forge's Vision 2047? Where do you see yourself in 1947? In 2047, I beg your pardon.
First of all, I think I'm very happy that the Honorable Prime Minister has kind of unleashed the animal spirits in every Indian on this whole concept of making Bharat Viksit and getting to that threshold or challenge of 2047. Now, whether that number is 20 trillion or 30 trillion or 40 trillion doesn't matter. The point is, we need to grow at a very fast pace from where we are in the next 22, 25 years. Similarly for us, if that vision has to be accomplished and if our GDP has to grow from the current level of, we are now under 4 trillion, by the way, with the rupee devaluation, that above 4 trillion has gone below 4 trillion. And if we have to go from there to, let's say, even 25 trillion or 30 trillion, this has to grow, GDP has to grow at something like 6 to 8 times. If GDP has to go 6 to 8 times, the manufacturing sector has to grow double of that.
More.
That means 12 to 15% per year. Now, currently, our manufacturing sector has not moved. Matter of fact, it has moved backwards. If you look at it, the whole focus in India is on the IT sector,
Services
sector. And that services sector is great because it creates a lot of demand for real estate, housing, this, that, and the other, which is good. It creates demand. But the real India, you want to be a strong nation, a powerful nation. I mean, if you heard what the Secretary of Defense, the way he talked to the Europeans yesterday on TV.
The US Secretary of Defense.
The US Secretary of Defense. You could have seen it.
Yeah.
I've never seen a US Secretary of Defense so strong, almost telling them, what they have to do, not telling them that we will do it together. I mean, that's a new country and a new image. But that is because of their strength. I mean, their strength in manufacturing, their strength in their
technology,
defense hardware technology. And it's simply amazing. And we, as a country, we have to move in that direction. There's a very nice book a friend of mine gave me called Freedom Forge. I don't know whether you've read it.
No, sir, I've not, but...
You should give a copy to Gaurav Arya on Freedom Forge.
Sir.
An American friend of mine who used to head the BAE Systems business in America. And he gave me this book. And this is the story of how the United States from 1939 to 1944, just in 4.5 years, created a military manufacturing machine that made some 380,000 aircrafts in that 4.5 years, 200 submarines, some
millions of pieces of
150,000 artillery guns. I mean, amazing what they were able to produce.
500,000 jeeps.
Converting all automobile plants, refrigerator plants, all the manufacturing plants into military plants. And headed by the president of General Motors that time. His name was William Knudsen. Now imagine building in 4.5 years 200 submarines. We take here to build one submarine 7 years. That's an amazing one. It's a true story, very well documented.
The industrial capacity is
and that
phenomenal.
Is what created the superpower America is. Actually, I have given this book to everybody, including to our Honorable Defense Minister, to the Honorable Prime Minister, to everybody in the system, to all the chiefs, and many of them have read it.
So,
and
former CDS had read it.
And this is what, it is doable. You just have to put our minds to it and make it happen.
So, the last question of this interview is to you, Mr. Amit Kalyani, and my question is about emerging markets. A lot of people have shown interest in your products, and people say because there are conflict zones across the world and they will never stop. So this is very important. What are the new areas that you're looking at? What are the emerging markets that you're looking at?
So, we have products that are very competitive very suitable, contemporary for many markets. The markets that we are focusing on are markets that were served by people who are no longer able to serve them, or customers want to buy different products. So you have all of Southeast Asia, you have parts of Eastern Europe, you have South America, you have Africa. So these are 4 very large geographies where we are actively pursuing business, and we are making good progress. I think that also with the Government of India's policy initiative in supporting defense manufacturing and defense exports, there is a lot of G2G awareness, marketing taking place on India's defense manufacturing capability, especially the private sector companies. So we see a lot of potential in Eastern Europe, Southeast Asia, all Middle East, and Africa and South America.
No, I absolutely agree with you, and I'll tell you why. Because in India, for a very long time, there was this feeling that, this is the private sector, and then there is the government, and there is that sense of let's keep a distance.
Yeah.
Something bad will happen if you talk to the private sector. But President Trump says buy F-35s, and Lockheed Martin is a private company.
Yeah.
So my point here is, Bharat Forge is not just something that is, part of the Kalyani family. It belongs to India.
Of course.
It's an Indian company.
We employ Indian people, we pay
Yes.
taxes in India, we generate revenue for India.
Yes, and this is
And
like ours nationally.
And we provide employment and a trickle-down effect to 700-800 MSMEs. So that is, by Bharat Forge getting business, 700-800 companies benefit. Not to mention thousands of employees.
No, absolutely. And this is something that, like the American president would go anywhere in the world and say, Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, Boeing, of course.
Or the Europeans would say, let us say the Eurofighter or something else. I think we should also, now is the time to come forward
But that's
and say,
happening. I'm very happy that is
that's
actually
happening.
starting to happen. Yes.
But one of the biggest opportunities we will have is coming out of what the US President Trump has put in as a policy. He is now mandating that Europe has to spend 5% of their GDP on military hardware.
It's high time, sir.
Yeah.
It's high time.
And they are currently at less than 2%.
Less than 2%. Yes.
Now, they have no capacity to take it to 5% in the next 5-6 years. So India has to step in that and use our capacities to help Europe get to that level. This is a big opportunity, and we are already talking to the Indian government, we're talking to MOD, we're talking to MEA in all this, and this is
a huge opportunity.
yeah, huge opportunity. The second big opportunity is this organization that Elon Musk is heading
Yes.
in
The Department of Government Efficiency.
Yeah, exactly. And the first thing they want to do is abolish Pentagon. Or reduce Pentagon.
He's already identified $1 trillion to go.
Because they believe that this Pentagon keeps inflating the cost of things.
Sir.
Now, this is also an area where, at least at the lower end of, let's say, land systems or whatever it is, India should get in. Okay? Nothing wrong for us to supply artillery guns
Yes.
to the US. That is not F-35 anyway.
Yes.
Or Europe. And the good news is they will not buy from China. They can't buy from Russia. So
Yeah.
who else is left?
So there's not much capacity left in the world other than India.
And I remember you telling me that you have the capability and the capacity to produce 25 artillery guns per month.
Per month, yeah,
One a day.
exactly. One a day.
One a
almost,
day.
Yeah.
One a day.
Yeah.
That's awesome, sir.
Nobody else in the world has that capacity.
Nobody else in the world. People might say, okay, 10 or 12.
Nobody.
This is double that.
France can only make 30 per year. Germany also about 30 per year right now. Now they will increase capacity.
Sir,
But one
But,
a day, we're already at
I
one a
mean,
day.
you're already at one.
Nobody can produce what we are able to. We finished our order 1 year ahead of time. 100 guns last year
Sir,
in 2024.
amazing. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. So much, knowledge which I have gained. And thank you so much, Mr. Amit Kalyani. Ladies and gentlemen, with Mr. Kalyani. Yes,
I'd
please.
just like to say one thing,
Yes.
Gaurav. Whatever has been achieved at Bharat Forge has been achieved because of a dream that my father had. and the passion with which what he was able to generate in the people who delivered this. We didn't have experts in defense. We had to take people who were working in our manufacturing facilities. We had to send them for special training, make them understand. And then they all learned, adapted, and through that passion, teamwork, commitment, the spirit of nation above self, whatever it took to make it happen. And that's really hats off. It's an inspiration every day to be here, to see what has been able to be done in our own small way, but what an impact it can have as a messaging at a larger level.